I think the first time I read the novel was 1986, when it was kind of new. And something like 15 years later, 16 years later, I get this phone call from producer Bernd Eichinger, who said he wanted to meet me, probably about Perfume. So we met, and it was kind of fascinating because, of course, for the meeting, the one thing I did prepare for was rereading the novel. Because I had heard a lot of people saying, it's a great novel, but you cannot turn it into a film. Why should this be a movie? It's so much literature. And I read it and I felt like it's totally a movie. It is so much a movie concept. I mean, everything you need for a film is in this book.
Searching for the right actor in a case like that is, of course, a major task, because everything is subjective from his point of view. And consequently, if you miscast the character, then you have no movie. At the end of the day, we found Ben Whishaw, who was then, I think, 22 or 23 when he was playing Hamlet in London.
There's something about Ben that is really indescribable, you know, beyond his intelligence as an actor and his really strong range of emotional understanding. There is a combination that is really difficult to judge, you know, because there's something extremely attractive, I think, about him and something extremely unsettling. And that's what I felt like we have to find with Grenouille. We have to have somebody who invites us strongly to go with him, even though he is so weird and so unusual and so awkward.
And cut!
Tom is kind of fanatical in a Grenouille-ish kind of way. I've never worked with somebody who has such a kind of cinematic vision. This is big, it's epic, it's very visual. And I love that. I love that he has that style.
Other than Ben, who was a long voyage to find, with the other two main characters in the film, main male characters, I was really lucky to get my absolute first choices. It was really Baldini and Rishi, those two characters. I had always imagined to have Dustin and Alan for them.
Bellissimo. Wonderful.
Dustin Hoffman was, I think, the first actor who came to the movie.
He did it again.
Because both Tom knew him a long time before and I knew him too. And when he realized that we do both Perfume, he said, I want to be in that. And in that regard, it was very easy.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. That's it.
Okay,
Let's go again.
He's very organized, he's very obsessive, and which everything a director has to be. He knows exactly what he wants. I think he worked 2, 3, 4 years on it, you know, before we started shooting. He has not taken a moment off since we stopped shooting, which is a year ago. I think he's doing the music for it. I think he's certainly aware of the pressure involved, because I think it may be the biggest film that Germany has made. He has a great respect for ideas, which not every director has. And he wants to know, oh, yes, we can try that, whatever. I think you have to be able to complement his energy, or else it won't be a good experience for you.
You have, it appears, a fine nose, young man, but...
My nose knows all the smells in the world. It's the best nose in Paris.
I remember the first day coming onto the set, and I didn't see Dustin before we arrived on set. So I think there was a scene when I come to Baldini's door, and the first time I saw him all made up in his gear was when he opened this door and the camera was rolling, and I just kind of was laughing to myself because I thought, this can't be true, can it? I can't actually, that's Dustin Hoffman.
Of course, a curfew is necessary, but we also have to catch this man, and the only way to do that is to understand how he thinks.
With this movie I could finally hire Alan Rickman, because Alan Rickman for me is one of the best actors in the world.
There's a murderer out there, and we must catch him by using our God-given wits.
So you needed somebody with a strong presence, with somebody with gravitas, and at the same time with a sensibility and a warmness that both these elements could come together. And Alan Rickman seemed to be the perfect choice.
Knowing that Tom Tykwer was going to be directing it, that was a huge attraction to me, to work with him. You know, I said to him, it's like you're not just in control of every frame of every film, you're in control of the milliseconds within a frame. So it's always exciting as an actor on film to be able to hand yourself over completely to a director.
All of his victims were young and beautiful, and who is there more beautiful than you, Laura? Whatever his insane scheme, it will surely be incomplete without you.
Of course, having Grenouille as a really difficult character to cast, the other really difficult character to cast was the girl called Laura, which in the book is described as so undoubtedly beautiful that everybody is just completely entranced and falls in love with her at first glance. And then you run into Rachel Hurd Wood, and what can you do? There she is.
You don't need to explain, Papa.
If anything were to happen to you...
I know, but you must stop worrying about me all the time.
I thought it was fantastic. I read the book beforehand just so I had an idea of the story, and then reading the script I couldn't believe it. I thought it was brilliant. I thought I have to work on this project.
You cannot make smell visible, that's for sure. So, I mean, you know what Patrick did in his book? He made people believe that they would smell with the power of words. What we do is, of course, we have a different language, which is the language of music, sound, and, of course, pictures.
The film, anyway, has the identity of Grenouille, and, of course, Susskind's identity is in the voice of the narrator. But you need the filmmaker's identity as well. And so many Hollywood films really have no identity. Anybody could have made it. You could have made it from a painting by numbers book. Whereas I feel that Tom will give it that personality and that point of view, which is the difference between an artist and a craftsman.
Most of the film looks awful because it's very much the poor part of Paris, and then suddenly, halfway through, you arrive at the house that I own and that Laura and I live in. It's incredibly beautiful.
The main interest in approaching the production design of a film is not so much in first talking about architecture and stuff like that, but to really think about the atmosphere of the film, the atmosphere in much more abstract terms. So the big decision had to do with the fact, do you take this novel and do something completely surreal, abstract, crazy with it? And I was determined to do the opposite. I was determined to say, no, I'd love this already quite abstract and experimental story to take place in a world that is absolutely real. To put people into the feeling they are in 18th century, in all those districts of streets and places, and that they feel real and they don't feel like stylized or artificial. But of course then you have to define that style.
Well, we started the usual way, but very intensively to collect picture references, and also books and texts, everything to get into it. And then I think we scouted Paris in more than 8 countries or something. We went everywhere in Europe. If we found Croatia, then we left it again after we found almost every location there, to come to Spain, to Barcelona. And that was something which was so highly intensive in all the logistics and everything. That was almost like a film by itself. But we did it.
Of course, Pierre-Yves, the costume designer, had to join the club for that, because the costume and the production design and the lighting and that all really has to meld. It has to become one union. You know, it's really important that these people communicate all the time.
The principal idea of Tom is don't forget that we work on the perfume. It's not a period movie like the other one. So we don't forget the idea of the smell of the perfume, and he said me that he needs the breaking down and the aging of the costume to show to the audience the reality of this period.
In any kind of character work, for me, I've always gotten the most help from the makeup people and the costume people, because they've put more into it and have been at it longer by the time the actor is hired. And suddenly you put the clothes on that they think the character would wear, and you put the makeup on that they think, and they kind of give you half of it. And then all you want to do is to be able to compliment the work they've done.
It was quite a demanding shoot in technical terms, because we didn't have that many shooting days for the amount of scenes we had. We had like incredible amount of locations, like more than 100 locations that really had to be dressed and lit and decorated and everything, and dirtified. And that gives you not that much time for lighting. So Frank, who I think is just a genius with light, came up with some very simple but very effective solutions.
For this big scene, the orgy, we have 5 days, each day with 750 extras, and I was only afraid about the weather, because we have we used 5 cameras, we have different angles, different movements, so we cover the whole scene, and I was sure it will work, but I was hoping that the weather would be fine, and it was very good.
The general attitude towards the film was that we wanted to treat it not like something distanced in any way. Meaning, it's a story that's set in 18th century, but it's about something that is as important today, and that could be told today, very much so too. It's the story of somebody who longs for recognition, puts on a fake aesthetic surface, and makes people, for a moment, completely fall for him, only to realize that that's not what he wanted and that's not what he was looking for. And it's so contemporary in a specific sense that you think this is so much about what in this world, in the celebrity world that we live in. And I think it's an amazing subject, and it's totally not related to any time.
He's not a hero in terms of the traditional movie hero who is fighting against evil or something like that, and you see his struggle, and at the end of the day he normally succeeds. There is no bad and evil in this movie, which makes it also unique. It is also not unmoral, it's amoral. It's beyond moral standards, so to speak.
I enjoy my work.